Hello, everyone. It's Thomas Rusby, our author, and I'm just kind of doing an impromptu reflection on why I write. And here I am in my car overlooking the fog of where I live, meaning the not in my spiritually, not oh my gosh, metaphorically. There you go. I figured it out. It happens. My flaws and all, the fog in the distance, there it is, burning off, and I guess the fog in my mind is burning off right about now too. I'm starting to wake up. So anyway, why do I write? I think a lot of writers, if they were to say why do they write, it begins with the passion for reading. I think that's where it starts. Love for books, love for stories. My father read voraciously, surrounded by books growing up. He loved to go to bookstores, especially used bookstores, new bookstores, ordered books, even to the last moment of his life. He was battling cancer, where he was struggling. It was a great struggle. And there he was, in hospice, reading a pile of books that he would underline and circle and write notes. So he really definitely passed his love of literature on to me. I kind of took it, and we definitely had different tastes. Of course, everyone has a different taste. Some folks are very influenced by the children's stories that they read early on. Some folks are, as they kind of grow into their own, identities and how they interact with the world. I think certain writers really speak to them, and that's the beautiful thing about art. It's a beautiful thing about being inspired by certain writers or certain artists. A certain writer will speak to you the way they employ language, the way they craft words and stories. And very much, I think that was the inspiration for me. I think when I was in the world of theater and performing arts, I always had a longing to write a book. I wrote plays, but in terms of writing novels, that always seemed daunting to me. And there's a period in my life where it just happened, and I started writing. And the first book, it's almost an apprenticeship kind of. You're learning how to put something together. Anyone who could write a very successful first novel, wow, because it's tough. It is, especially that first one early on. You're feeling good about, or whatever. You're feeling that you're doing your best, but looking back on my first attempt, I could see now, 15, 20 years later, after working on numerous revisions, it's interesting as I grow into my writer self, my writer identity, I'm feeling that fiction has less of a hold on me. Reading others' works has less of a hold on me. I think more and more I enjoy my own work. I guess one has to in certain ways, in certain respects. And that's where I am right now in my writing. Is I do read, but if I read, it's usually maybe an excerpt, or I grab something and I just start reading from the beginning, the middle, toward the end. It's usually I'm kind of studying basically how other writers employ language, how they start a book, how they describe. A lot of the things I read. If they're showing, not telling, that whole adage of show and tell and all that, and I look to see how they handle that, how much information, where do they place the information. So these are the things I look at as a writer now, reading. Very rarely do I get through a book anymore, especially a fictional book. I think I'm more into biographies, nonfiction, creative nonfiction, and I mourn less and less I find that I can get through a work of fiction for whatever reason. I don't know if others feel this way, but the more I write, the more I want to build a body of work. And I think there's also the why I write. With theater, it seems so of the moment. It's alive in the moment, and it passes, and it lives in our memories, so to speak. A performance or a great performance or any performance kind of lives, and that's the beauty of theater. Where I think in writing, and another thing, like if you're in theater, there you are in a city, in a small theater, 50 people, let's say 30 people are there, and it's magical. It's a magical evening now. 30 people plus 5 actors, but whatever, let's say 40 people. They expressed and experienced something very unique and magical that evening. But in writing, my belief is, if you do get published, if there is the opportunity to have anyone in the world get a hold of it via print, a physical book, online, an ebook, anyone could have access to that book, and especially if it's translated, the ability to reach someone in South Africa, in Russia, in Saudi Arabia, to have it translated into Persian, Arabic, Portuguese. I mean, that's really appealing to me. So anyone can access my book anywhere in the world. The fact that strangers, someone I don't know, just stumbles across my book or one of my books and is interested in it and picks it up, and they are affected by my book and my work. That really appeals to me. I think more so than any other. There was a time when I was thinking about poetry, maybe about 20 years ago, focusing on poetry more so than prose. I thought fiction reaches more people than poetry, and I think that was a deciding factor for me back 20 years ago, where I love poetry, but how, can I reach more people? How would I reach more people? Through poetry or through fiction? The possibility of that, the opportunity of that. So yeah, that's why I write. I mean, another thing as I'm growing, evolving as a writer, to build a body of work and what that means, and tied into my identity, tied into a legacy, hopefully, that I leave behind through my written work. The feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment after finishing a project, a manuscript. And the time it takes. Some folks, spend years on one manuscript. The one I'm doing my final edit on, and I've been talking about in other videos, Chupa. You're talking about a 2.5 year process where that's a long time. That's quite a commitment. That is an accomplishment, no matter what anyone thinks. It's, to have that. Any writer, anybody who sticks with one project for weeks, months, years, and sees it to its completion, that's another, for me personally, a feather in my cap, something I'm very proud of. And all writers hope to get their book out to an agent, to publishers, to get it printed, to get them translated, to win awards. We all dream of these things, of course. And it's interesting, to separate what a writer is and that other part of everything else. And that's something that I definitely want to explore in another video. Is what is the purity of a writer, regardless of all the other stuff. To what is a writer, and I would love to explore and talk about that. But anyway, thanks for hanging with me. That's why I write. I hope I expressed some of that. I know I went on and blah blah blah, but it's been on my mind, and I just wanted to share. Peace.